We have been observing the rise in popularity of dollarization, but it really took off in 2022 when Russia was subjected to sanctions. However, the trade war and the future actions of these other countries have made it a very, very important topic as of late. Furthermore, BRICS are no longer the only thing at stake. We're still keeping an eye on other countries, their actions, and the actual state of the global financial system, not only to see how it will affect the dollar, but also the system as a whole. However, we are now also seeing serious warnings from well-known figures, like Warren Buffett, that indicate a significant change is taking place. We will be dealing with this. Everyone, welcome to the channel. Nick is my name. If you are new to the channel, I hope you will subscribe by the end of this video. Let's get started and have a real conversation about this. Prominent figures, including JP Morgan, have been discussing dollarization and, more specifically, if the US dollar is becoming less dominant. Naturally, the question of whether dollarization has been exaggerated has been answered in the affirmative. Furthermore, I'm certain that they are only discussing important issues pertaining to the global system and the US currency in particular. Most individuals try to make dollarization seem urgent, such as, "Oh, the dollar is dead." When they think about it, the dollar has been used up. The dollar has been completed. But that's the problem, isn't it? We are aware that this will take time. Furthermore, it hasn't been occurring suddenly. This has been going on for a while, as I mentioned. It sort of started to gain a lot of attention after 2008, but it really picked up speed after 2022. You know, back about 2010, we began to observe the BRICS countries purchasing a significant amount of gold. This persisted until 2010, I would even say up to the present day, right? As of this now, the BRICS have been amassing enormous amounts of gold over the past 15 or so years, and this accumulation has not slowed down. As a matter of fact, it has increased and has essentially become a quick shift around gold. However, as of right now, we're beginning to notice a significant backlash against both the SWIFT-based system and the US dollar system. And all of it is accelerated by these significant occurrences, such as the ongoing tariff talks or sanctions. For instance, the trade war continues to this day. Once more, however, dollarization continues to harm the US dollar. As I mentioned earlier, this is not a novel concept. It's not something that happened overnight. This is all a gradual burn. But a number of these events have sped up the change. You know, this isn't going to happen overnight. And that's the main thing I want you all to grasp here. Although it's a slow burn, things are beginning to change. And it seems like 2025 will mark the beginning of a much more rapid change in all of this. And even with the stablecoin agreements and ongoing debates in the US, I believe that's pretty evident. The BRICS have been advocating for a multipolar currency age. As we now know, a multipolar system is what they desire. They no longer wish to depend on the dollar. SWIFT is not someone they want to depend on as much. And this is beginning to turn into, you know, practically every country for itself. Okay? You will be able to use your own money. You will use your own money. Additionally, these issues will need to be resolved. Since everyone has different ideas about how this will be set up, I've discussed this with the IT side of things throughout the years. As you can see, XRP is the central link between all of these currencies. You know, there will be stable coins or even CBDCs. You know, they're pretty much the same thing. We have discussed it. However, we'll also include currencies backed by gold in that mix. Now, the currencies that are backed by gold will probably be CBDCs. You'll have reliable coins that are, you know, sort of supported by those CBDCs, or even gold in general. An XRP or a decentralized currency like it will simply fill the gap. On paper, though, this seems fantastic when we consider it. We simply don't know what will happen in this situation. The precise setup of this is unknown to us. Well, one thing is obvious. The BRICS countries are beginning to overtake the United States. I mean, even in terms of GDP growth? This dates back to October of last year, and we have it here. BRICS Plus now makes up 45.2% of the world's population, 23.3% of the world's merchandise commerce, and 36.7% of the world's GDP in PPP values. It's fascinating to observe that change when we contrast this with the G7 or even the G20. The comparison is fascinating to observe. For example, the G7's growing percentage of BRICS Plus in the global commerce trade is comparable to ours. We could tell that you were aware of the changes over time. For this reason, I claim it burned slowly. From 2000 to 2023, we're talking about 23 years. Overall dominance in this area increased from 10.7% to 23, a 12.6 percentage point rise. So, it's rather intriguing when we consider this. Additionally, as compared to BRICS Plus, we are beginning to observe a decline in dominance in the G7. Again, is this something that should have your full attention at this very moment? No, it isn't. As I mentioned earlier, it's not an urgent matter, but it does indicate that a change is taking place. It's already taking place. However, we also examine the current state of affairs due to the trade war. The reserves of central banks around the world are becoming more diverse. The share of U.S. government debt held by foreigners has dropped to 23%, the lowest level in 22 years. We're in the accelerated stage of this, as I mentioned. They then advocated for digitization. In particular, they stated that the use of actual currency is declining to historically low levels. The moment has come to rethink the currency wheel. All of these things are taking place at the ideal moment to speed up the new system. And even with the recent trade war and tariff talks, many people believe that Trump is leveling the playing field because, well, he's fixing a major problem with how we're losing badly in trade and getting completely smashed by the percentages that these other countries are charging us. Yes, of course, you might argue that. However, you might also go beyond that and consider what the Treasury is saying us, which is that we need to advocate for stable currencies. We require coins that are stable. The secret is stable coinage. Here, they are the main focus. They could continue to dominate the system with the U.S. currency, you know. They have the potential to establish the United States as a leader in digital currency and assets. They're making this claim at the same time as they're pushing the trade war and tariff talks, which is intensifying because it's speeding up the digital transition. Every country in this situation is promoting digital currencies. The UAE, the UK, and the EU are all promoting digital currencies. Digital currencies are being promoted even by brick-and-mortar stores. You must read more than what they are telling you. However, one of the most significant indicators that a change is occurring and is arguably Warren Buffett's recent advice to purchase a variety of different currencies. Having said that, I hope you all found this video entertaining. If you did, please subscribe, like, and enable notifications for future free material. Please feel free to join the free Discord down description below and follow me on Twitter. Having said that, it's been Nick, guys. Thank you for viewing. Goodbye.